podcast is brought to you by Air Care One, Worldwide Air Ambulance Services. Call now.
Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from up in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bull Eagle J. Roos. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kelly and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Relentless and Unstoppable, and today from out in Colorado, I have Scott with us. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Doug. Happy to be here with you.
Glad to be with you too, and introduce yourself to my followers.
My name is Scott Beckstead, and I am coming to you from northwestern Colorado at the Wild Horse Refuge, which is a 30,000 acre private sanctuary for Colorado-born wild horses who were rounded up, and we have let them reclaim their freedom.
That's great, man. How big is the area when if you had to compare it to other parts of Colorado?
Well, our the Wild Horse Refuge is 30,000 acres, and so that makes it the largest wild horse refuge in the country, maybe the world. But it's wide open range. The horses that live here at the Wild Horse Refuge, grew up, in areas like this. So this very much feels like a homecoming for them when they come here and get turned loose. We right now have just about 270 wild horses living here on that 30,000 acres. So it's a good life for them, and it's a mission that we really believe in.
Definitely. I believe in it too. I've had a lot of experience with horses, and they're just very beautiful creatures. And you see the wild horses out even as far as here in Arizona. It's like, we got to preserve them. They're very beautiful creatures. They're therapeutic, and they were the means of transportation before cars were invented.
This is the point that I make and that I've been making for pretty much my entire life, that these animals gave everything so that we could advance as a species, but also especially here in the United States. We might very well not have a United States of America if it wasn't for the contributions of the horse. They pulled our wagons and plows, they pulled cannons into battle, they substantially improved the standard of living for the native tribes that joined with the horse, and some of those tribes became some of the greatest horsemen in the world. And so I feel very strongly that we owe the horse a huge debt of gratitude. And what better way to honor that debt than, letting them live wild and free in places where they can thrive and be happy and be safe. So I agree. I think that horses gave everything. I mean, we talk about dogs being man's best friends, and don't get me wrong, I love dogs. My dogs are absolute members of our family, but no species gave more for the betterment of humanity than the horse. And, again, without the horse, we might still very well be living in the Bronze Age. They were that important to the spread of culture, knowledge, language, all of those things. So we do owe a huge debt of gratitude to them, and it's nice to be able to see the horses here, living the kind of lives that they deserve.
Definitely. I was just going to bring up that, we owe so much to them. And now that you mentioned it, yeah, now that we have cars, we should let them run free, and, live their best lives in the wilderness, and just enjoy the beauty of America, and even parts of the world where you would find horses as well. Because one thing I've learned out of this year is definitely don't take the world for granted because there's a reason why we're here. It's not just to survive, it's to enjoy the world and what the universe made for us. Whether you believe in God or whether you believe in the spirits or the universe, the world was made for us to enjoy, from the wilderness to the national parks, like Yellowstone and all those beautiful places, that you sometimes forget or even hear when you're so caught up in everyday life. The wild can be very beautiful. And I know that from experience of living in Colorado and Estes Park, and then visiting national parks. There's so much beauty that the world offers, but definitely the horse is one of them for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doug. And another part of my message is that um, if you want to feel invested in the fight to save our wild horses, go out and spend time with them. Go out into the wild places where they live, out on our public lands in the West, and spend time with them. And you will come away from that experience feeling inspired, feeling, like you want to do more to protect them because they truly are living symbols of freedom and family. And there's an old saying that horses improve every landscape, and it is so true. You go out and I mean, like around here, it's wide open sagebrush, but you sprinkle a few wild horses out there and suddenly it just comes alive and it becomes something really, really special. So, I hope that people will start, learning more about these animals, getting involved in, making sure that they have a future out on our public lands. And probably the very first most important step is to actually go out there, set aside the time, set aside the money, go out there and spend time with the wild horses, take pictures, take video, share them far and wide. It's a great way to boost appreciation and support for our wild horses.
Please call Air Care 1 for worldwide air ambulance services. Brought to you by R&U.
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.